People, my people. What up?
Welcome to the Habitual Podcast.
Welcome to the Habitual Podcast.
We're back.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. This is David Useda.
And I'm Emily Useda.
And as always, we want to welcome you to the space. We want to welcome you to the safe space. It better be safe with the stuff that we be talking about.
I know, right?
And but our hope, man, our goal always is to, well, first off, this podcast exists to be a catalyst for your self-awareness.
Mm-hmm.
Our hope, our goal always is to point you back to Jesus.
Yes.
So how you feeling, baby?
I'm feeling good. It feels like it's been an eternity
It really
since
has.
we've recorded.
It really
so I'm
has.
all of a sudden getting a little bashful.
Yeah, I think we've just been in a different season
Mm-hmm.
than where we have before.
Yeah.
And I think that there's just nothing bad. There's just a lot of stuff happening in our lives, good stuff, and
Yeah.
and we're just enjoying and taking in as much of it as we can.
Right. But then we sit down to record and we're like, this is amazing.
Yeah, for real. So it's been good.
I know our listeners will be so thrilled to get that notification that there is a new episode.
Absolutely.
Yes.
And if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe, man.
Yes.
Follow us. Support us. We'd appreciate that. a lot.
Yes.
And we just got back from vacay.
We did. So we went to Galveston,
Went to little Galvy.
which I know we've gone together twice, but I grew up here. And so I grew up going to Galveston, right? And it's always like dirty, brown, green water.
Mm-hmm.
And for some reason, the past probably like few weeks to a month, it's been crystal clear.
It's been clean.
And so it literally felt like Florida minus the sandy white beaches, but it was a vibe. It was great.
It was good.
And
Good time.
we did so much stuff. Like I seriously felt like we had never been to Galveston before.
Yeah,
So,
I think Saturday felt like it felt like a long day just because we did so much on Saturday.
yes. Whenever you have those days and you look back at like the first thing that you did for the day and you're like, that felt like 3 days ago.
Right.
Like that's how it was. And I'm like, thank God, because I feel like the days go by so fast now. I don't know if they actually
Especially
do.
when you're on vacation. I feel like when you don't really have a plan set in motion, it just kind of flies by.
But the fact that it like drug out, I'm so thankful.
nice.
It was the best.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't have to take a nap. Normally at like 3:00, I'm like, all right.
Old lady
I got-
vibes.
Exactly. Yep. But no, I was going strong all day.
Right.
And it was great.
Yeah, it was good.
Had a lot of seafood. David's
of
not
seafood.
a crazy fan of seafood.
I mean, it depends. It depends what kind of seafood. Am I going to eat a fish? No. Am I going to eat a fish and its eyes? No.
But if it's fried,
Am I going to use scales as toothpicks? Absolutely not.
no one's asking you to do that.
But that's just how I grew up seeing fish
So
being
David's
eaten.
traumatized because whenever we first met, every time I was like, I'm going to have fish for dinner, he was like, no, because he always thought it was like the whole fish with scales, eyes, everything. 'Cause
Teeth and everything.
That's how his mom used
That's
to
how
make
both
fish.
my parents
And
would
I'm
eat
like-
fish.
I'm just like, no, bro. I'm talking about like fried catfish fillets. Like you don't see any eyeballs. You don't see any scales.
That's just what I grew up with.
And so he recently came to the dark side at the men's fish fry
Mhm.
and gave it a taste finally.
Some catfish.
Yep.
I was on that catfish, man. I was rocking that. I've been rocking that catfish ever since men's night.
I don't even know. I don't think that was catfish.
It was catfish.
Was it?
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
it was catfish. And then it had what are those little sticks called?
Hush puppies.
Hush puppies. There you go. That was banging. That was
Yes.
crack. Yeah. But now we're back.
We're back.
We're back, and
We have some stuff we want to talk
we
about.
definitely do. We definitely actually have. I know we normally kind of see where the conversation goes. This time around, we had a topic that we just kind of felt like was a necessary one. I think it's a needed one, especially with. I think for me, most importantly, is just kind of, I've lately. I'm not a conspiracist. I'm not a conspiracy theory guy.
No?
I am very.
Do you think Elvis Presley's still alive?
I think there's many versions of him.
What about Michael Jackson?
I think there's many versions of him.
Do you think birds are real?
I think there's many versions of them.
What?
So
You're not answering my questions.
I am. I am in a very conspicuous way. You know, that's the word of the week. Conspicuous.
Okay, I derailed your train of thought. Come back. Come back. I'm sorry.
So I'm not necessarily like a conspiracy theory guy, but I've been intrigued on what's in the world, what's happening in the world, politically, all that stuff. You know, I'm not really looking to to look for stuff to put my trust in, right? Because I don't go towards that for trust, right?
Yeah.
But I think it's just important, just kind of knowing what's out there, you know. And I just think that, I think one of the biggest revelations for myself is just like, I'm in that New York energy. I'm just in a constant, just on the move. I got to keep myself busy, you know. And then also it's just like,
but what does that have to do with conspiracy theorists?
I'm just saying, like, because I was talking about, I like looking at political stuff. I like looking at what's out there.
Oh, okay.
And a lot of that is like people.
You want to stay in the know.
I want to stay in the know. I want to know what's going on.
Okay.
You know, I want to actually not mind my business.
I saw.
Is what I'm trying to say. I want to be a busybody in a good manner.
Okay.
In a good manner.
Okay. You were just trying to make it sound fancy.
I guess so. Yeah.
The other day I saw a meme. It was so funny. It was like, I started out reading ingredients on the back of my food, and now I think the government's trying to kill me. It's like it's just like that's where you end up.
No, yeah, absolutely. I was at the brink of invading Area 51. Like I was one of those dudes. I was gonna.
I feel like we can't even speak about this on the podcast.
I guess
someone's gonna come find us.
Like Will Smith and Tommy Lee Jones.
I don't know.
Men in Black.
Yes.
But anyways, I think for myself, I think a big revelation of my life right now, especially just kind of where I'm at, just again, still working through my ish, you know?
Yeah.
And I think one of the biggest things that I'm seeing is just there's a big percentage of burnout. People just get burnt out.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of it is just this constant moving, always having to move, always having to move, always having to get here, do this, do that, do this, do that. You know, one of the biggest things that I was telling myself over the last couple of months is just you got to keep yourself busy, keep yourself busy, keep yourself busy. But I'm discovering.
But why?
But I'm discovering that's actually not really what I need. And just the last 2 sessions of therapy that I've just been navigating a lot of. My therapist had asked me, I feel like you're running from something, you know, and she like asked me, what is it that you're running from? And that was like food for thought, you know?
Yeah.
Like that had me thinking for the last 2 weeks of just like, am I running from something?
Yeah.
Because I do feel like I'm doing a lot of things, but I don't feel fulfilled, you know? And it really had me sitting down, you know, just, I think I kind of realized that I don't want to slow down in my life because then I have to sit in discomfort, you know, just like having to feel emotions and feelings that I'm trying to avoid.
Do you have any idea what those might be?
I think for me, I'm just realizing that a lot of what I do just stems from, you know, I've struggled with people pleasing, you know, and imposter syndrome. And, you know, I think one of the things that that I've realized about myself is that a lot of what I do because it's not current anymore. These are just things I've navigated through, but that a lot of what I do has stemmed from pleasing others and looking for acceptance from others.
Yeah.
You know, and
I do also remember too, and this is kind of just like popping in my mind as I'm thinking it, but I remember whenever all the porn stuff came out.
Yeah.
For those who are just popping on, David had a porn addiction and he is sober, I guess you would call it.
I guess
sober.
so, yeah.
Working through that. But you'll just go back and listen to a different episode.
You just got to go back and listen. That's all we're going to say.
Yeah. I know that whenever that all first went down, I remember after work, because me and David work separate shifts. And so we kind of just like pass by each other. But I remember you were like, every night of the week, I have to find something to do so that I'm not going home and being alone. But essentially, it never happened at home after work. So it's like interesting that you felt like you had to stay busy, even in times that you know didn't trigger you.
Yeah.
It was just like a response.
And it was just like the fear of what if that were to happen.
Mm-hmm.
This is why I need to stay away from the house
Right.
until you got home from work.
Right.
And it wasn't even, I think for a moment I felt like, yeah, this is what I got to do.
Yeah.
But in hindsight, I'm like, this is hella unhealthy.
Right.
It's so, because I'm living in fear of being by myself.
Yeah. And of course there is wisdom in it, right? Like,
for sure.
You know, do you need to be just like home 24/7 all the time? No, that's not good for literally anybody, regardless of what you might struggle with.
Right.
I know for me, when I'm stuck at home, it's not just like cabin fever, but I go into like a dark place. You know, I think as humans, we naturally need a change of scenery to help us.
Yeah.
To bring clarity back, you know? Like, I remember whenever I was younger, it was probably like early 20s. It was like the second I woke up, I automatically drove. I didn't do nothing. I didn't brush my teeth, my hair. I got my keys, got in the car, and would drive to McDonald's every morning to get a Dr. Pepper. And it was just like, it wasn't even about the Dr. Pepper. And then it's like, I would get home and, I got to do this. I get home, I got to do this. And it was like I was going through probably so much gas going back and forth from my house.
Yeah.
But I realized that because at that time I was struggling very hard with like panic attacks, anxiety, stuff like that. And for me, whenever I slowed down was whenever I would get anxious.
Mm.
And so it's just like, I'm just going to take Adderall and not slow down at all.
Right.
You know, and that's what I did for a really, really long time.
Yeah.
You know, and did it make anxiety go away? No, it was just an awful coping technique that I had kind of just, and that's the thing with coping techniques. You don't unhealthy coping techniques.
Yeah.
You know, it could be like, I don't know, you think about OCD and the people that have to like do things, you know, like it's not like one day they're just like, oh, this is a healthy thing.
Yeah.
It's like, no, it's just like primal what we feel like we need to do to cope with this fear.
Yeah.
You know, or because OCD is not just like, oh, I'm really clean. It's like, no, if I don't do this, my house is going to burn down and my cats are going to die. You know, like it's severe. But yeah, I just think it's interesting how it's like, okay, this isn't even like a proven thing, but it might have worked for us once. And now we think that that's the answer to escaping that problem.
Yeah.
But that's the key word. It's escaping the problem.
Yeah.
It's not confronting the problem.
Yeah. So this is what I want to do. I just kind of want to help. If this resonates with people that are like listening to this topic, we're going to dive in a little bit more. But if I just want to point out a couple things just for people to kind of just self-reflect.
Sure.
You know, if you're not letting yourself actually feel the restless, awkward, or even painful emotions you'd normally try to avoid, you're struggling to sit in discomfort. If you're looking for a distraction or something to numb, or you're running away from these emotions, you're struggling to sit in discomfort. Most likely you're running from something that you don't want to face. Yeah. And I believe, I like to believe everybody to some degree is running from something. Something that they don't want to face, something that they don't want to talk about. Yeah. Something that is too painful that I don't even want to open Pandora's box. Right. Because I'm afraid of what's going to come out of it.
You know, the scripture that comes to my mind when we talk about this is 2 Timothy. I can't remember like the verse or chapter anymore, but it's, for the Lord did not give us a spirit of fear, but instead he gave us a spirit of power, love, and a sound mind. Yeah. So I think it's super ironic that instead of
2 Timothy 1:7.
1:7, yes. I think it's not ironic, but like convenient and divine that instead of fear and timidity, it's power. And so it's like power is the opposite of fear.
Yeah.
And so I think that also like courage can be, and braveness and boldness can be lumped in with that power.
Yeah.
So I think about Christ in the Garden of Gethsemane. He went there knowing that he was going to face something very difficult.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I know when you're in a state of anxiety, you're reaching for other people to like help or other things, right?
Yeah.
Take this away. Take this away. Oh my gosh. What am I going to do? And yes, Jesus did bring his support people there, but their jobs were to stay awake and pray for me.
Right.
While he went into the garden and did his thing.
Right.
He wasn't like, I need you to come do this for me, because he knew that he had to face it. He was the spotless lamb.
Mm-hmm.
They were not the spot. He was the spotless lamb.
Yeah.
And
I think it's important too to like I want to dissect that a little bit, because I think it's really, really poignant that you're bringing that up. I think it's super just on the money with it, because like when you look at Jesus, he says, Father, if you're willing, this is verse 42 of Luke 22:42. Father, if you're willing, please take this cup of suffering away from me. He struggles with the Lord.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
right.
He's not avoiding what is truly on his mind.
Right.
He's saying what he's feeling. He's embracing what he's feeling. And I think that's really important, because I think a lot of times we're so the evangelical community, right? The church community, we're so adamant on being victorious. I have victory over this. We have a whole platform for it, Carl. It's called prosperity. And yet nobody wants to, yet we struggle to sit in the things that Jesus himself was most vulnerable about, and so I just kind of wanted to add to what you're saying, that it's just like he would speak it, he would identify it. I don't want to bear this cup. Let it pass over me. And then it says, yet I want your will
be done,
not mine.
Yeah.
And so I think it's important that when we choose to sit in discomfort, we're also realizing that, yes, because we have the victory, when we go and sit in things that we don't want to talk about or feel, we're also inviting the one that gives us the victory into that space too.
Right. That's so good. Okay, so I have something like very practical, a situation that came into my mind, and in absolutely no way can we compare it to Jesus dying on the cross,
sure.
right? Like there's no story out there.
Nah.
And this is just it's not even a traumatic event, okay? It was this weekend so let me set the scene. We're driving down to Galveston, and we're in Ennis, about to get on 45, and it's beautiful, and the sun is shining, and the birds are chirping. And so we get to Madisonville, and it's my turn to drive. The heavens decide to open at that moment, and it pours sheets of rain the rest of the trip down for me. And it's not just like pretty little roads. No, I'm going through the Woodlands, Houston, like Texas City, in sheets of rain.
And I'm knocked out like Jesus on the boat.
Yeah, right? But like there was a moment where you were awake, and I'm not going to lie, I was getting like a little nervous.
It was bad. No, it was bad.
It was
the
really
highways
bad.
were really narrow. It was down to 2 lanes.
Yes, and there was construction, and so there was like a concrete beam right next
flooded.
to my face.
Yeah.
People hydroplaning, it was bad. But something that was so freeing, and I think it's because I just like identified it, is I had the steering wheel and I like shook the steering wheel, and I was like, I hate this, and like just saying that, I like, okay, I'm just very uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But I can do this. I've been driving since I was 15 years old.
Right.
Like I can do this. And like I said, no way can I compare it to Christ dying on the cross. But I think that's just like a tangible way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Like I had to sit in discomfort. Like that was driving through a storm was very uncomfortable.
But that's exactly what allowing yourself to sit in discomfort is. You're having to drive through a storm.
Yes. And guess what I had to do? I had to slow down.
Mm-hmm.
At some points, I had to turn my hazards on.
What'd you have to do?
Turn my hazards on.
No, what was the thing before it?
Slow down.
Say it again.
We had to slow down.
Say it one more time. One more time.
We had to slow down, people.
Slow down.
And sometimes that's what we have to do in discomfort.
Just
Just slow down.
Yeah.
And I think about whenever you are anxious or panicky, what do? You start breathing fast, right? I know for me, I start frantically doing things, it's like I'm filling up a glass of, or like a bowl of water to dunk my face in. And I'm, frantically doing all this. When in reality, I need to lay on the ground and put my feet up in the air, because that brings blood flow back to your brain when you're panicking. And it's like I have these coping skills, but sometimes you forget it because you're going so fast, and so because you're in fight or flight. Right. So if we think about I'm about to get real like nervous system, but we have, the window or the zone of tolerance, right? So our emotions are kind of like a roller coaster, right? But whenever you're still within the parameters, like you're not too high above the line or you're not too low under the line, like when you are in a good spot and you're still experiencing emotions, you have options. You can think much more clearly than whenever you're out of your zone of tolerance.
Right.
If you are just way up there, you lose your coping skills, right? You can't think rationally. You don't have options when you're moving too fast and you're out of your zone of tolerance.
Yeah.
And so I feel like there's a scripture that I have in my notes that go with this.
There is, but I want to, I'm sure there is. I just want to add to what you're saying. Like we're not saying.
Oh, whoops. Sorry. Okay, go ahead. That was my chat GPT.
So we're not talking about, like, we're not saying thrive in the discomfort.
No.
Enjoy being in the discomfort. You're going to be here for a long time, so get comfy. That's not what we're saying at all. What we're saying is that he did not give you a spirit of fear or timidity, but of power, love, and a sound mind. And another interpretation, self-discipline. So it's not trying to prove. It's not trying to say, I guess I'm going to have to get comfortable in the discomfort. It's saying that because he has not given me a spirit of fear and timidity, I can survive this.
Yes. I have options in my discomfort. I don't have to panic in my discomfort. Like if I think this is crazy, but I'm thinking about like childbirth, right? Like it's not just pushing the baby out that is it's the whole labor process. Every few minutes you have a contraction. Yeah. What is it, Lamaze classes? But so it's like you have just a little bit and then a contraction and you have to it's very uncomfortable, right? And I follow someone on social media, and because I honestly, I don't feel like I have a lot of mental endurance, I feel like what am I trying to say? I am more prone to like panicking and like getting anxious about stuff than just like calming down. And she had this exercise that's so good. And it's like, hold an ice cube in your hand for a full minute and you can do it. And so I've been doing that. I've had that ice cube in my hand and be like, oh, this is awful.
But it melts.
This is so uncomfortable. Yeah, but if you get a solid cube, it doesn't melt for a long time. It stings, and it's super uncomfortable. And your first response is like, let it go, But it's just like, I guess I don't really know where I'm going with this, except for just like building up your your mental.
You can get through this.
Your grit, I guess you could call it.
Yeah.
But Jesus, let's go back to Jesus.
Right. But I think too, like there is a strength that is within us because the Bible says that the same power that rose Christ from the dead is the same power that lives in us. So there's a strength within us that is so resilient. It can endure, right? It can preserve. It has a way of preserving you in the midst of trials, in the midst of things that you don't want to necessarily navigate and walk through.
Right.
And I think it's healthy to identify. This is not a pride thing too, of saying I'm strong, I can do this. It's believing that the same power that rose Christ from the dead is the same power that lives in you. That same power is constantly resurrecting me when I choose to die to things in my life. And dying to yourself is having to face those discomforts.
Right. And also, we don't have to face the discomforts unprepared.
Absolutely.
I think, and thanks to ChatGPT, this is actually crazy, but I hadn't even thought about this, but the armor of God.
Don't be giving that thing praise.
Well, I mean, it's just a ton of information.
We got 5 years before it serves the Antichrist.
Don't say that. I was not giving it praise. I was using it as a resource.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah, don't say that. That makes me feel like a bad Christian. Okay, so
this podcast is brought to you by husbands who talk out of their butt.
Right. You don't even know what you're saying. Rude. But talking about, let me see. Put on the whole armor of God so that you may be able to stand against the schemes of the devil. God doesn't shield us from every hard thing. Instead, he equips us to stand and face it with the armor of God. So, but the thing is, you can't expect to like walk into a trial and be in a burning fire and be like, okay, what are they again? Oh, I need to put these on. No, he says put them on in the morning. Like put them on every day.
At the start of every day.
Because you don't know what your day is going to bring.
Right.
But you can have the armor of God, right? And so I think that's super awesome.
Yeah.
Having that along with like coping skills. Coping skills are to cope, right? To cope with the trauma or the stuff that's already there.
For sure. In a practical sense, yeah.
Yeah.
But in a spiritual sense, putting on the full armor of God is how you're able to navigate through those things.
Withstand the fiery darts from the enemy.
Yeah.
I think is what the word says.
I think a couple of things. We might have to do a part 2 to this topic.
Right?
I really feel like it. I really feel like we'll need to do a part 2 to this because there's just so much that I want to break down.
Well, our life is full of suffering and waiting.
Absolutely.
Like that's so it's not just like I heard this on a podcast the other day, but we can't just be like, oh, I can't wait until the season of waiting is over, because guess what? The next season you're going in is a season of waiting.
Right.
And a lifetime of seasons of waiting pretty much is a life of waiting.
Right.
And that's essentially the main thing we're waiting on is eternity with Christ.
Yep.
But we're waiting on other things our entire life. We're waiting on a spouse, waiting on a baby, waiting on a house, a new job, a calling. Some people, I know that it eats them up because they're like, I don't know what my calling is. What am I passionate about? Like just waiting on everything under the sun.
Yeah.
That's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Feeling like you don't know who you are. Right?
Yeah, I think we can all relate to that to either the same extent or to some certain extent of just like struggling. I think identity is just a big thing right now as it is just in culture in general. I think a lot of people are struggling. I think even us as Christians sometimes we struggle to believe in who we are. We say we're sons and daughters of Christ, but how much do we truly believe that? How much do we live that out?
Right.
And believing that, no weapon formed against me shall prosper.
Right.
Do we actually believe that?
Exactly.
And I think that the reason why there is a bit of an identity crisis, especially a lot in the church culture, is because of the fact that we feel like if Christ lives in us, why do we have to go through hard things?
Right.
And I think the honest truth is, if Jesus suffered, why do
Right?
you think you're better?
If
you
God
wouldn't suffer.
himself suffered,
Why would you be any different?
right. Well, it says that we share that with him.
Yeah.
You know, like,
I heard somebody say, he didn't just die on the cross for you. He showed you how to die.
yeah.
To
How
yourself.
to every day.
He showed you. He modeled
Lay
what
your life
what you
down
need to
or
do.
else you will lose it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I think right now, I think just honestly, I really feel like, I mean, not to beat a dead horse, I guess is the saying. I do feel like a part of our season of lament and understanding suffering started with the miscarriage.
Mm-hmm.
Because I do feel like that brought me to a place of understanding hurt.
Mm-hmm.
And just like, I know that hurt is real,
Right.
but I feel like you don't know hurt until you have this high hope of becoming something that and you end up losing it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying that in a person that has lost hope. I'm just
Right.
saying, just in the moment, I felt like I was going to be a dad, and then it's gone.
Yeah.
Now suffering and hurting and affliction really starts to really become clear
Yeah.
as a Christian.
Yeah.
At least to me, as a faith believer, as a disciple of Jesus, of just how real affliction is to those who have been made righteous.
Right.
You know, and not being fearful. Again, he did not give us a spirit of fear and timidity.
Yep.
You know?
Yep. That's good.
So
that's really good.
But
I was gonna see, because you have a few things that also came up about feeling like a failure.
Yeah, for sure. I want to leave that for part 2.
Okay. Okay. That's a good story.
I want to leave that for part 2.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then also, we might have to leave this for part 2 as well. But sometimes it's not your choice to choose to push into discomfort.
It's not up to you.
Sometimes you're forced to sit in discomfort. You know, either something happens, right? Like a miscarriage. I was forced to sit in discomfort. You were forced to sit in discomfort. You were forced to grieve, you know? And then also, if it is like, you talked about burnout at the beginning of the episode. Sometimes if you go so much and you avoid sitting in that discomfort for so long, you're going to have to eventually, you know what I mean? Like you're going to be forced to sit in it.
Yep.
And forced to face it. And also something that popped in my mind is that goes with marriage too.
Absolutely.
If you are single and you are listening to this podcast, I want to tell you that marriage is like being forced to look at yourself in a mirror. Everything bad about yourself that you have not worked through, you will have to when you're with a spouse.
Absolutely. Because it comes out.
Yeah.
Who was it? It was like some therapist that said, being married to somebody brings the trauma out that you've been trying to hide.
But I honestly think that is a part of God's plan for marriage, to edify each other.
Yeah.
You know, to get each other ready
Absolutely.
for Christ to come back.
Well, I think it gives weight to the scripture that says, and the man shall leave his mother and father, and the man and woman shall become one. And I think it gives it weight to that, because what that's saying it's not like you no longer depend on your parents. Now you have a wife and you guys figure it out together. I think what that has to do is, now whatever troubles her and whatever troubles you, now you have each other and navigate those troubles together. You know?
Yeah.
Now you don't have the leading of your parents. Now you get to lead alongside with someone.
Right.
And navigate through those. Yeah.
You got to grow up.
Yeah.
This is just like a crazy scientific fact that I came across at one point. But did you know that in marriage, whenever you have been with someone for a long time and you're actively having sex stuff like that.
You start to look like each other.
No, well, but you actually take that person's DNA and it binds with yours. And so, like, you actually, like, become one in that way.
So we're going to look like each other at some point? Because that's what they say about dogs and their owners.
I mean, I'm already starting to grow a beard. No, just kidding.
I'm just kidding. Peach fuzz?
No.
They say dogs and their owners start to look alike after a certain
amount. Isn't that funny? But no, this is specifically like when you're having sex with your partner for, you know, years and years.
That's why the babies come out with features of yours and hers.
I don't know, maybe.
Yeah.
Well, you have like dominant genes and like recessive genes.
All right, we don't need to get into all that.
I know, right? But I just thought that was an interesting fact that like you literally, and also keep that in mind too with like who you're deciding to like have sex with. Like, do you want their DNA to be like part of your DNA as well?
You want some fugly looking guy?
Right? Do you want to have that link in your DNA? I don't know about that. But so I think we're gonna cut it for tonight.
Yeah.
David's preaching tonight at CYC.
Talking about hope.
Yes.
A hope that endures. I'm excited.
And I think it's perfect that we had this podcast because now I feel like it's like hyped you up even more for preaching.
Absolutely. It definitely has. This is definitely started on my faith. And keep your eye out for part 2.
Yeah. It was a good one.
Yeah.
And if there's any questions or anything that you want us to touch on when it comes to this subject,
I feel like this subject we are pretty well experienced.
Right? Suffering. No, and waiting, and it could definitely be worse. But, you know.
Lately.
For our season of life, I feel like we understand.
Yeah.
We get it.
I think the season that we're in now has shifted my way of praying. Mm-hmm. And a lot of my prayer is more on the lines of thank you, Lord, that I may not be where I want to be, but I'm definitely not where I was.
Right.
You know, and you've kept me.
Right.
And today wasn't even promised to me. And yet here I am. Mm-hmm. Thank you for giving me this day. Like that song, you know, one more day. Mm-hmm. That's just so my prayer every single morning. Because the reality is that the like scripture promises us, tomorrow's not guaranteed.
Right.
You know? Mm-hmm. And pain and sorrow comes in the night, but joy comes in the morning.
Right.
There's an opportunity for when you go through the pains of life, you know, that there's something greater on the other side of it.
Yep. And so sometimes we don't know when the light at the tunnel is going to be visible.
Yeah.
But we can believe in our heart that it's there.
Absolutely.
You know? And so, yeah. And also, I just want to put in there, not everything you think is true. Mm-hmm. Not all your thoughts are true, you know? And so this is like, for instance, with the wanting to have a baby, you know, the thoughts of like, oh, I'm going to be 35 next year, or, oh, this, or, oh, that, or, oh, you know, not everything you think is true. Mm-hmm. You know, like, yeah, there might be statistics and stuff out there, but you got to believe, you know. I feel like that is where I'm at now. I am like absolutely not in control of this situation whatsoever. Even with the fertility doctor, you know, like there's no control.
Absolutely.
And so it just puts us in a place of like, when I start frantically doing stuff and running, remember, like, what am I running from? It's because I don't have control over the situation. So I'm putting all this energy into all these other things when really I just want a baby and I'm sad about it.
Right.
You know, it's just interesting. You know, just check your heart. Check your heart.
Check your heart.
What are you running from? What do you need to face? What conversations need to be had? You know, and so... Anyways, well, we love you guys. Be sure to so like, subscribe, comment, follow, share, all the things. We love it. We read them and we see them. And we just pray that y'all have the best week ever and that y'all are blessed.
Absolutely. So we love y'all so much. And until next time. Peace.
Bye.